Unit 4. Speaking. Page 40. Exercises 1 and 2.
And you're from Spain, Virginia?
Yes, that's right. A small town in the south.
So, what's it like? What are the most interesting parts?
Sorry, I didn't quite hear the last thing you said.
Oh, sorry. I said, what are the most interesting parts of the town?
Well, it's quite an old town. The part I really like is the old center. There is a square and a beautiful fountain. And in summer, there is a market every Sunday where you can buy all sorts of different things. I often go there with my sister.
Have you got just one sister?
Yes, just one sister and no brothers. And how about you? Have you got any brothers or sisters?
Yes, a younger brother and sister.
Do you get on with them?
Oh, yes, we're very close.
So, what are they like?
Sorry, I don't really understand what you mean by what do they like.
No, sorry. I said, what are they like?
Oh, okay. Well, my sister is very like me. We're both quite sociable and outgoing, and we both love going to the cinema. My brother is different. He just likes to be at home on his own, playing his guitar. He's crazy about music. And how about you? Do you have any special hobbies?
I really like all kinds of sports, but my favorite is tennis. This year I'm going skiing with some friends. It will be my first time, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Ah, that's interesting, because...
Unit 4. Listening. Page 41. Exercises 2 and 3 and Vocabulary 2. Page 42. Exercise 1. You will hear 4 people talking about dreams they have had. 1.
My worst dream is one where I have a crucial exam the following day, and I haven't done any revision at all. I've only got one day left and just don't know what to do or where to start. I start looking through all my books, but it's no good. Total panic.
2.
It's funny, because I don't dream very often, but I get one dream over and over again. It happened last night as well. I dream I'm on a desert island. I've just been washed up on the shore, and I start walking along the beach. But I'm limping. I've hurt one leg. Even so, I walk all over the island, but there's no one there and no animals. There are some trees and plants, and I start to build a fire. I sit by the fire and stare out to sea, but I can't see anything.
3.
There's one dream where I'm walking along a very dark kind of tunnel. I go on and on walking for ages until, in the distance, I see a small light. The light gets bigger and bigger as I walk towards it. Then I'm walking up some steps, and suddenly I come out into the middle of this enormous stadium, and there are thousands of people staring down at me and shouting and cheering. And that's when it stops. Weird, isn't it?
4.
I had this awful dream last night. Well, nightmare it was, really. I was going up a mountain with some friends, and we came to a really steep part. There was very little to hold on to. The path was very narrow, and I thought I was going to slip and go over the edge. I got to a point where I just couldn't go on, and I couldn't go back. That was the terrifying bit. I was just stuck. I couldn't move or even open my eyes. I woke up petrified. It was horrible.
Unit 5. Listening 1. Page 44. Exercises 2 and 4. You will hear an extract from a radio program about famous scientists.
Hello and welcome to another edition of They Changed the World, the programme that finds out about the people who have made our world a different place. And this week we're going to be hearing a little about some remarkable individuals in the world of science. And here to help us with his own personal selection is Dr. George Seagrove. So George, who would you like to start with?
Well, perhaps we should go right back to the 3rd century BC, to an amazing man who was well before his time, Archimedes. His greatest achievement was to develop the principle of floating. The story is that he made his discovery while he was having a bath, then jumped out and ran through the streets of his town naked, shouting, "Eureka!" But we actually have no idea if this is true or not.
And our next scientific star is someone who many people firstly think of as a great artist.
Yes, that's right. And we are, of course, talking about Leonardo da Vinci. In fact, his notebooks show that his main interests were actually in engineering and technology. These notebooks are full of drawings and designs for all kinds of inventions, from calculators to rocket launchers. Born in 1452, Leonardo only had a very basic education, but after showing an early ability to draw, he was sent to study art in Florence. However, when Florence entered a war with the Pope, Leonardo decided this was a good opportunity to make some money, and he came up with several revolutionary designs for different types of guns. Later on, he became fascinated with flight. He studied birds for clues on how to fly and made drawings similar to helicopters and parachutes.
An extraordinary man. And now we come to more recent times.
Yes, one of the most important discoveries of the 20th century was made by a Polish scientist called Marie Curie. She and her husband worked in an old shed behind their house. But, as she says, it was in this miserable and cold shed that the best and happiest days of our life were spent. One winter's night in 1898, Marie and her husband visited their shed and saw a strange blue glow. It was made by radioactivity from the chemical radium. In 1903, with her husband and Henri Becquerel, she won the Nobel Prize for Physics for the joint discovery of radioactivity. Then, in 1911, she received a second Nobel Prize for finding and isolating radium. Sadly, her constant exposure to radiation in her work probably resulted in her death from leukemia in 1934.
So who else, George?
Unit 5. Vocabulary 1. Page 45. Exercise 2. Listen to the groups of words. 1,
Science. Scientific. Scientist.
2,
Invent. Inventor. Invention.
3,
Design. Designer.
4,
Revolution. Revolutionary. Revolutionize.
5,
Art. Artist. Artistic.
6,
Employ. Employer. Employment.
7,
Discover. Discovery.
Unit 5. Listening 2. Page 50. Exercises 2 and 3. You will hear 4 people talking about their favourite things. 1,
That's easy. I remember when it was taken. I was only about 5 and it was on a beach. I think we were on holiday in Portugal. Or Spain. No, it was Portugal, I think. Anyway, we'd had a great day playing with the sand and in the sea, but then I got knocked over by a wave and swallowed some seawater. It was horrible. But then Mum came and picked me up and took me back to where we were sitting. I remember feeling really safe. My dad had his camera, so I shall always remember that moment.
2.
Actually, I'm really excited by my last big birthday present. My mum and dad got it for me. It does loads of things and it looks really cool. And it's so small. Amazing. I'm going to get my own ringtone as well. I use it all the time, mainly for texting my friends. It can be quite expensive, but I think it's worth it.
3.
Well, it's a bit strange, but I got it when I was on a holiday on the island of Santorini. It's a great place for a holiday, and I had a fantastic time there with my girlfriend. One thing you can do is take trips out by boat to see the site of the old volcano. Anyway, I picked it up off the ground when we were looking round the old volcano. I keep it in my bedroom. It reminds me of that holiday.
4.
Well, I think it would probably be the present my gran gave me on my 13th birthday. I was just starting a new school and she got it for me as a kind of good luck present. I always really liked it. It's quite heavy and feels nice in my hand when I write. In fact, it made me really start enjoying writing at the time. I remember I started keeping a diary soon after I got it. The other thing is that it reminds me of my gran. She was a very special person.
Unit 5. Speaking. Page 51. Exercises 1, 2 and 3. You will hear Sonia and Paul talking about things which are important for them.
Let's see. Well, I think that the most important for me is the mobile phone. I use mine all the time and I think it's really useful in case you get lost or have problems. What do you think?
I think you're right, and in the future we'll be able to do more and more with our mobiles. OK, so that's 1.
Probably for me, the second one has to be the watch. You see, my grandfather gave me his watch on my 18th birthday. It means a lot to me. How about you?
Well, I don't have an important watch, so I think the next really important thing for me would be my photos. I have an album with all my favourite photos of friends and family.
Well, that's 2. What about the third one?
I don't know. Maybe the computer? Or TV?
Yes, they're both important for me too. I do all my work on computer and send emails and play games. But then I watch TV a lot in the evenings. I'd hate not to have it, so I don't know really. Which do you think is the most important?
I don't know. Maybe soon the two of them will be combined in one machine, and then we won't have to choose.
Unit 6. Vocabulary 1. Page 55. Exercise 4. You will hear some people describing 4 of the things in Exercise 3. 1.
Yes, I'd love one, thanks. I don't know how you have time for baking as well as everything else. Is it a chocolate one? You know how much I love those.
2.
Well, it jumped out of the fire onto the carpet. Luckily, it wasn't too hot, so it didn't burn a hole.
3.
Yes, we need another. I've squeezed everything out of the old one. Could you get a mint one? I prefer the taste.
4.
It says on the weather forecast we might get another one. Not too heavy, but I think you should take an umbrella when you go out.
Unit 6. Listening 1. Page 57. Exercises 1 and 2. You will hear people talking in 5 different situations. 1.
Did you read this thing in the paper about the guy who climbed up the side of an office block using just his bare hands?
Unbelievable, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what's the point? It's really dangerous. And he wasn't getting paid or anything.
Apparently, he's done this kind of thing before.
Did you read this thing in the paper about the guy who climbed up the side of an office block using just his bare hands?
Unbelievable, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what's the point? It's really dangerous. And he wasn't getting paid or anything.
Apparently, he's done this kind of thing before.
2.
Due to the late start of the Manchester United versus Liverpool match, the advertised programme of Xena, Warrior Princess, will now be rescheduled to be shown tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. And now, before the 10 o'clock news, we will show some edited highlights from some of today's other big games. Due to the late start of the Manchester United versus Liverpool match, the advertised programme of Xena, Warrior Princess, will now be rescheduled to be shown tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. And now, before the 10 o'clock news, we will show some edited highlights from some of today's other big games.
3.
I'm sorry to bother you, but can I ask you a few questions? I'm working for a market research company and we're trying to find out how often people go to the cinema, why they go to the cinema, and what kinds of films they particularly like to see. First of all, I'd like to ask you which were the last 3 films you saw at the cinema. I won't keep you for long, I assure you. I'm sorry to bother you, but can I ask you a few questions? I'm working for a market research company and we're trying to find out how often people go to the cinema, why they go to the cinema, and what kinds of films they particularly like to see. First of all, I'd like to ask you which were the last 3 films you saw at the cinema. I won't keep you for long, I assure you.
4.
So, what do we have to do tonight?
Write an essay on the person we most admire.
What? Is that anybody or somebody famous?
Anybody, I think. The main thing is to say why we admire them. Oh, and it has to be at least 500 words and on Mrs. Phillips' desk by the end of tomorrow.
So, what do we have to do tonight?
Write an essay on the person we most admire.
What? Is that anybody or somebody famous?
Anybody, I think. The main thing is to say why we admire them. Oh, and it has to be at least 500 words and on Mrs. Phillips' desk by the end of tomorrow.
5.
Hero 3 is the new interactive game from IGOS and features a brand new hero, the Captain. During the game, you're taken on a roller coaster ride through the cosmos. In your heavily armed intergalactic space cruiser, you, as the captain, are on a mission to find and rescue a small group of humans who have been taken hostage by some rebel forces. The action is fast and furious, and the graphics are truly amazing. At only $24.99, this is definitely one for your collection. Hero 3 is the new interactive game from IGOS and features a brand new hero, the Captain. During the game, you're taken on a roller coaster ride through the cosmos. In your heavily armed intergalactic space cruiser, you, as the captain, are on a mission to find and rescue a small group of humans who have been taken hostage by some rebel forces. The action is fast and furious, and the graphics are truly amazing. At only $24.99, this is definitely one for your collection.
Unit 6. Listening 2. Page 59. Exercises 2 and 4. You will hear an extract from a radio programme about the actor Christopher Reeve.
Christopher Reeve was born on September the 25th, 1952, in New York City. He believes his love of acting goes back to the early years of his childhood. He remembers how he and his younger brother would climb inside cardboard boxes and pretend they were on pirate ships. In 1978, Christopher auditioned and successfully screen-tested for the movie Superman. He wanted to play Superman as somebody that, you can invite home for dinner, someone you could introduce your parents to. He made Superman believable by playing him as a hero with brains and a heart. As he says, what makes Superman a hero is not that he has power, but that he has the wisdom and the maturity to use the power wisely. Christopher Reeve believes that progress in one's life comes from setting your own challenges and then doing the best you possibly can to succeed. He was a talented pianist and also a superb athlete who did his own stunts in films. He earned his pilot's license in his early 20s and twice flew solo across the Atlantic in a small plane. He was also an expert sailor, scuba diver and skier. By the 1990s, horses had become his passion. In May of 1995, it was during a riding competition that Christopher's horse, Eastern Express, stopped at a jump, throwing his rider forward. Christopher landed head first, fracturing the top vertebrae in his spine. He was paralysed from the neck down and unable to breathe. After 6 months in hospital, he returned to his home in New York, where his family had made major changes to take care of his needs and those of his electric wheelchair, which he operates by blowing on a straw. Ironically, this self-reliant and active man was now facing life unable to move and dependent on others for his most basic needs. He's crossed the country with a team of assistants and nurses. He has spoken at numerous universities and charity events about disability issues and raised millions of dollars for spinal cord injury research. He looks to the future with his usual enthusiasm, saying, "I'm optimistic. I don't plan to spend the rest of my life like this."
Unit 6. Vocabulary 2, page 60. Exercise 2. Listen and repeat the sentences. 1,
I think I've broken a bone in my foot.
2,
The nurse said I'll need some stitches as it's quite a deep cut.
3,
She's had difficulty breathing and she fainted this morning.
4,
I'm afraid you'll be in a wheelchair for at least a month.
5,
I come out in a rash whenever I get close to cats.
6,
She hurt her neck quite badly in the car accident.
7,
You'll need some injections before you go travelling in Africa.
8,
Take one of these tablets 3 times a day after meals.
9,
You've got a temperature of nearly 32 degrees centigrade.
10,
I've got a bruise on my leg where I walked into the kitchen table.
Unit 6. Speaking. Page 60. Exercise 2. You will hear 2 students discussing first aid.
So, what about the first question? Do you know anything about first aid?
A bit.
And if you saw someone having problems breathing, would you know what to do?
Probably. How about you?
Well, I've never done an official course in first aid or anything like that. But my mum's very good at it. She's told me what to do in some of the most important situations, like if someone can't breathe or someone cuts themselves badly.
So, would you know what to do if you saw someone having problems breathing?
I think so, but there are actually all sorts of reasons why...
Unit 7. Vocabulary 1. Page 68. Exercise 2. You will hear 2 people talking about leaving home.
When I was a child, my family moved house a lot because my dad got jobs in different places. I didn't like it much because I really missed my friends. When I was about 12, my parents split up and my dad went to live in the USA. I decided that I wanted to live somewhere else too, and one time I even ran away from home. But as soon as I set off down the road, I realised I'd done the wrong thing, so I turned round and went home.
When I was 18, I left home to go to university in a different city to study chemistry. I found it really boring. I used to slip out of the lessons while the teacher wasn't looking. Actually, after only 3 months, I dropped out. Since then, I've had several boring jobs. Now, I think it's time to move on and do something different.
Unit 7. Listening 1. Page 68. Exercises 2 and 3. Listen to the song.
It's not open, so I must go. The spell has been broken. I loved you so. Freedom comes when you learn to let go. Creation comes when you learn to say no. You are my lesson I had to learn. I was your fortress you had to burn. Pain is a warning that something's wrong. I pray to God that it won't be long. Walk away. There's nothing left to try. There's no place left to hide. There's no greater power than the power of goodbye. Your heart is not open, so
Unit 7. Listening 2. Page 70. Exercises 2 and 3. You will hear people talking in 6 different situations. 1.
So, our topic today is about the legal ages at which people can do things, and we'll be doing a survey to find out about people's attitudes to these laws. Firstly, you may be interested to hear that in Britain, although you can leave school when you are 16, legally you can't get a tattoo done until you are 18. So, our topic today is about the legal ages at which people can do things, and we'll be doing a survey to find out about people's attitudes to these laws. Firstly, you may be interested to hear that in Britain, although you can leave school when you are 16, legally you can't get a tattoo done until you are 18.
2.
I'm sorry to bother you, but could I just have a moment of your time? I work for a market research company, and today we're trying to find out about people's attitudes to the National Lottery.
Oh, OK, yes.
Thank you. First, I'd just like to ask you how often you buy a lottery ticket. Once a week, once a month, occasionally, or never?
Well, I certainly don't buy one every week. I think it's a bit of a waste of money. Although occasionally I do buy one, I suppose.
I'm sorry to bother you, but could I just have a moment of your time? I work for a market research company, and today we're trying to find out about people's attitudes to the National Lottery.
Oh, OK, yes.
Thank you. First, I'd just like to ask you how often you buy a lottery ticket. Once a week, once a month, occasionally, or never?
Well, I certainly don't buy one every week. I think it's a bit of a waste of money. Although occasionally I do buy one, I suppose.
3.
I wish I had a bit more money. My parents give me some money, but there are loads of things I want to buy. I just haven't got enough.
Why don't you get a job? You know, a part-time job on Saturdays or something. You could work in a shop or a restaurant. You are 13 now, aren't you?
Yes, that's a good idea. I mean, it would be good experience too, wouldn't it? My mum would probably be really pleased. I wish I had a bit more money. My parents give me some money, but there are loads of things I want to buy. I just haven't got enough.
Why don't you get a job? You know, a part-time job on Saturdays or something. You could work in a shop or a restaurant. You are 13 now, aren't you?
Yes, that's a good idea. I mean, it would be good experience too, wouldn't it? My mum would probably be really pleased.
4.
In 1997, on Valentine's Day, 24 couples got married at the same time. It was in Busch Gardens in Florida, and they were all zooming round a roller coaster upside down. They had to use microphones to say their vows so that the priest could hear them. That's definitely the strangest place for a wedding that I've ever heard about. Later, we'll be talking to some couples who got married in strange places. In 1997, on Valentine's Day, 24 couples got married at the same time. It was in Busch Gardens in Florida, and they were all zooming round a roller coaster upside down. They had to use microphones to say their vows so that the priest could hear them. That's definitely the strangest place for a wedding that I've ever heard about. Later, we'll be talking to some couples who got married in strange places.
5.
Have you got everything? Let's just check that we've got all the essential papers and things.
Well, I've got my passport. Have you got yours?
Yes, it's here.
And I've got my driving licence, the traveller's checks and the money.
Me too. Traveller's checks, money and... where's my driving licence? I'm sure I put it in here. Where is it? Did you take it out of my bag?
No, why would I do that? Oh, look, it's here.
Have you got everything? Let's just check that we've got all the essential papers and things.
Well, I've got my passport. Have you got yours?
Yes, it's here.
And I've got my driving licence, the traveller's checks and the money.
Me too. Traveller's checks, money and... where's my driving licence? I'm sure I put it in here. Where is it? Did you take it out of my bag?
No, why would I do that? Oh, look, it's here.
6.
As you will see on the ballot paper, there are 7 boxes down the side of the paper with the names of the people and the parties that they represent. In order to register your vote, you need to put a cross in one of the boxes only. If there are any marks in more than one box, your vote will not be counted. As you will see on the ballot paper, there are 7 boxes down the side of the paper with the names of the people and the parties that they represent. In order to register your vote, you need to put a cross in one of the boxes only. If there are any marks in more than one box, your vote will not be counted.
CD2. Unit 8. Listening. Page 78. Exercises 1 and 3. You will hear an extract from a radio program about the curse of Tutankhamun.
In today's programme, in our series Mysteries Through Time and Space, we hear a terrifying story from the home of the ancient Egyptians.
Death will come to those who disturb the sleep of the pharaohs. That was the warning found in the tomb of the Egyptian boy king Tutankhamun when it was opened in February 1923 for the first time in 3,000 years. The man who led the expedition to Egypt to dig up the ancient tomb was an Englishman, 57-year-old Lord Carnarvon, and within 2 months of entering Tutankhamun's tomb, Carnarvon was dead. The problem started one morning in April of 1923 when Carnarvon woke up in his Cairo hotel room and said, "I feel terrible." By the time his son arrived at the hotel, Carnarvon was unconscious. That night, he died. His death was said to be as the result of a mosquito bite, which was in the same place as a mark on the mummified body of King Tutankhamun. Shortly afterwards, there was another death at the hotel. American archaeologist Arthur Mace, who had been an important member of the expedition, complained of tiredness, suddenly went into a coma and died before doctors could even say what was wrong with him. Deaths followed one after another. George Gould, a close friend of Carnarvon, rushed to Egypt as soon as he heard of his friend's death. Gould visited the pharaoh's tomb. The next day, he had a high fever. He died within 12 hours. By 1930, only 2 of the original team who had broken into the tomb were still alive. Fears of the curse returned in 1972 when the golden mask of Tutankhamun was sent by air to Britain for the 50th anniversary of the tomb's discovery. During the flight, the chief technical officer jokingly kicked the box containing Tutankhamun's death mask with his right foot. That leg was badly broken after a ladder fell on it for no reason. It was in plaster for 5 months. The chief pilot and engineer were less lucky. Both were perfectly fit men. Both died of heart attacks. The engineer's wife said afterwards, "My husband suffered a heart attack every year at about the same time as the flight. The last attack, in 1978, killed him. He was 45. Is there any logical explanation for the mysterious deaths of so many people? Journalist Philip Vandenberg has made some fascinating suggestions. Firstly, he says that the tombs were a perfect place for a kind of super bacteria to breed. Then he also points out that the ancient Egyptians were experts in poison. Poisons were used in wall paintings within the tombs as a defence against grave robbers. The grave robbers who broke into the tombs always drilled a small hole through the chamber wall first to allow fresh air to circulate before they went in to steal the pharaoh's riches.
Well, whatever the truth, it certainly was another extraordinary mystery through time and space.
Unit 8. Speaking. Page 80. Exercises 1 and 2. You will hear a conversation between Mike and Tessa.
So, is there anywhere in the world that you would particularly like to visit, Tessa?
Well, that's quite difficult to answer. I mean, there are lots of places, but I suppose Egypt is one place I have always wanted to go to. I think the pyramids are amazing.
So, do you think you'll get the chance to go?
I'm not really sure, but my parents have promised that if I do well in my exams, I can choose our next holiday. So maybe next year.
And besides having a holiday, what do you hope to do in the next few years?
It's not very easy to say. It really depends on my exam results. I hope that I'll get good enough grades to study law at my local university.
Unit 9. Listening. Page 84. Exercise 4. You will hear part of a radio programme about Oprah Winfrey.
Today on Media World, we're talking about one of the biggest stars on TV. One of the things she's most famous for is promoting the public discussion of important issues. And although she didn't invent the talk show, she is the queen of talk shows. She is, of course, Oprah Winfrey. With us in the studio today, we've got Diana Cummins, who has just written a book about Oprah. Good morning, Diana.
Good morning.
Let's start by talking about Oprah's early life. I think most people know that she had quite a difficult childhood.
Yes, that's right. She was born in 1954, and for the first 6 years she was brought up by her grandmother on a farm with no indoor bathroom or toilet. Much of her early childhood was very lonely, and she was moved around a lot, living with different members of the family. But she was a very intelligent girl and learned to read when she was only 3. She loved books and she spent most of her time reading.
She was also very keen to perform and get noticed by people, wasn't she?
Yes. Her first taste of public attention was competing in beauty contests at school. Her natural talent for talking and answering questions helped her win. At the age of 17, as a result of one of these competitions, she started work on a local radio station. And then, while at university, she became the first female and the first black TV newsreader in Nashville, Tennessee.
That really was a major achievement at the time.
It was, yes. She wasn't emotionally detached enough to read the news, however. She cried when a story was sad and laughed if she misread a word. She soon found what she wanted to do, though. She was given a talk show, and it was clear that she had found what she was really good at.
So, when did the Oprah Winfrey Show start?
It started in 1984, when Oprah was 30. And by 1986, the show had become the USA's #1 talk show.
It wasn't the first talk show on TV, was it? Why do you think that it has been so successful?
Well, previously, talk shows were about giving information. Experts came on the show and the audience asked them questions. Oprah changed things. She didn't have experts. She had ordinary people talking about personal issues. Her great power is that she talks to everyone as equals. She doesn't talk down to anyone. Above all, she really listens to people. And she never says, you should do this or that. As a result, people love her shows because they're much more personal. And that has obviously been extremely successful as a concept.
Unit 9. Speaking. Page 88. Exercise 2. You will hear two students, Daniel and Olivia, talking to their teacher.
What about you, Daniel?
Well, I listen to the radio a lot. I like listening to music on the radio, and also I like discussion programmes. It's interesting to hear what people think about things. In my opinion, those phone-in programmes, when people phone and give their opinions about things, are really good.
What do you think, Olivia?
I think that it's good to have experts talking about a subject because they can give information that you might not know. They can also explain what they mean clearly. I don't like listening to people who just phone in, though. They're usually really boring.
Unit 9. Speaking. Page 89. Exercises 3 and 4. Listen to the 5 extracts. 1.
So what did you decide?
We both agree that the internet is the most important to us because people can get so much information from it.
2.
So have you reached a decision?
Neither of us thought that people would buy newspapers in the future. TV and the internet will become much more popular.
3.
So what did you decide?
Daniel was in favour of radio phone-ins, but I thought that they are usually quite boring.
4.
So what was your conclusion?
We decided on the internet because soon people will be able to do anything they want using the internet.
5.
So have you reached a decision?
The conclusion we reached was that there are several good things about chat rooms, especially that you can meet lots of different people.
Unit 9. Grammar 2. Page 91. Exercise 1. Listen to the sentences. 1.
He did a very good course in journalism.
2.
He did an absolutely fantastic course in journalism.
3.
His first novel was very successful.
4.
His first novel was absolutely brilliant.
5.
He found writing very difficult at first.
6.
He found writing absolutely impossible at first.
7.
He is a very big success as a writer now.
8.
He's an absolutely huge success as a writer now.
Unit 10. Listening. Page 101. Exercise 2. You will hear someone talking about 5 different aspects of feng shui. 1.
Recently, I've read a very interesting book about feng shui. I knew that it was a very old philosophy originating in China. I didn't realise, though, that it was becoming so popular in the West. Feng shui is sometimes translated as the art of placement, and lots of people are using the ideas. It's basically about deciding what to put in your house and where to put it, to improve different areas of your life.
2.
One of the principles of feng shui is to cut down on anything unnecessary in your house. Most of us have too much clutter in every room, and our living space is too full. So, we should start by clearing things out. Look around your bedroom, for example, and if something has just been under your bed for months and you haven't even looked at it, then throw it or give it away.
3.
There are particular things that you can buy that will help improve different areas of your life. For example, according to the philosophy of feng shui, goldfish are associated with money. So buy some goldfish in a bowl to bring you wealth and good fortune. And if you want to enjoy a long and healthy life, you need to get a pine tree, or at least a picture of one.
4.
Mirrors are often used in feng shui, but they should be used carefully and not put in every room. A large mirror near the table where you eat is good, because it reflects the food and encourages good things to happen to your family. A mirror should not, however, be put in the kitchen or near the cooker, as it then reflects fire and could bring misfortune.
5.
I don't believe in everything that feng shui says, but I've heard that some of the ideas can actually improve your exam results. The first thing is that if you tidy your desk every day, you will be able to concentrate better. I'm sure that's true. They also say that if you put your desk in the northeast corner of the room, your memory will improve, and so will your exam results.
Unit 10. Speaking. Page 104. Exercises 1 and 2. You will hear Sarah and Justin discussing things that make them happy.
Well, what makes me happy? Let me think. Something that makes me happy is lying on the beach. I really love the summer when the weather is hot and there's no school. My favourite kind of holiday is just doing nothing. On a beach with my friends, maybe with a book to read. I love that.
Do you?
Yes, I find it really relaxing.
But don't you think it's boring? I'm not keen on lying on the beach. I prefer to be more active. I like playing football with my friends. It's great because you can just think about the game and forget about everything else. It's tiring, but it makes you feel good afterwards.
Yes, that's a good point. Exercise can make you feel really good.
Do you like doing sport?
No, not really. But I like walking in the park. I've got 2 dogs and I take them for a walk every day. Sometimes I don't feel like going, but I always enjoy it when I'm there. The fresh air wakes you up. What else? What about talking on the phone? I love talking to my friends on the phone. If I feel upset about something, it always makes me feel better.
Oh, really? I can't stand talking to people on the phone. One thing that I love is playing computer games. Sometimes I spend hours and hours doing it.
Unit 11. Listening 1. Page 106. Exercises 2 and 3. You will hear part of a radio program about water.
Hello and welcome to Fascinating Facts. Today we're talking about something which is essential for our survival. In fact, after only a few days without it, we'd all be dead. I am, of course, talking about water. I've got research scientist David Lomax here in the studio. He knows everything there is to know about water. So, David, what is so fascinating about water?
Well, first of all, did you know that between 60 and 70% of an average person's total body weight is water?
I didn't know it was that much.
And to keep healthy and to make sure your body is functioning properly, you should drink at least 2 litres of water every day.
Oh, I don't drink nearly that.
No, well, most people don't realise how much water their bodies need. Animals and plants all need water too, of course. There can't be any kind of life without it.
Earth is the only planet which has water, isn't it?
Well, no, actually. NASA scientists have almost certainly found evidence of water on the Moon, on Mars and on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. These are the only other places where there is the possibility of life.
And you mentioned animals. Tell us about some of them.
Yes, well, the most well-known animal when we're talking about water is the camel, of course. Camels can function for up to 7 days without drinking any water at all. Just as importantly, when they do have the opportunity to drink, they can drink more than 100 litres in 10 minutes.
Most animals can't drink that quickly, can they?
No, they can't. Although the koala is another animal that can survive on very little water. They get most of their water from eating eucalyptus leaves and only occasionally need to drink.
Humans, on the other hand, use vast amounts of water, don't they?
Yes, the average American uses 770 litres of water every day. You might think that this is impossible, but when you think that each person uses about 70 litres a day just on flushing the toilet, that you can waste around 9 litres just by leaving the tap on when you're cleaning your teeth, that washing up usually takes about 90 litres, it all adds up to a lot of water.
That's incredible. I can't believe it's so much.
In some parts of the world, however, they simply haven't got huge quantities of water like that. In Ghana, for example, in West Africa, a family of 4 has only about 20 litres of water per day for all their needs. Drinking, cooking, washing, everything.
That isn't very much compared to the average American, is it?
But there are some schemes now to try to reduce the amount of water being used, being wasted by countries like the USA. In California, for example, there is now a system for rationing water. People there have to think about how to save water, about how to use the limited amount they've got. It's a step in the right direction.
Unit 11. Grammar 1. Page 107. Exercise 2. Listen to the sentences. 1.
Earth is the only planet which has water, isn't it?
2.
Most animals can't drink that quickly, can they?
3.
Humans use vast amounts of water, don't they?
Unit 11. Grammar 1. Page 107. Exercise 4. Listen to the dialogues. 1.
It isn't a very nice day today, is it?
No, it's really cold.
2.
You haven't seen that new film already, have you?
Yes, I have actually.
3.
Richard doesn't look very well, does he?
No, he looks really ill.
4.
You're a fantastic swimmer, aren't you?
Oh, thanks.
5.
They'll phone if they're going to be late, won't they?
Yes, I'm sure they will.
6.
You didn't tell me the truth yesterday, did you?
No, I'm sorry.
Unit 11. Grammar 2. Page 110. Exercise 2. Listen to the sentences. Example. A.
It's a really good book. I've read 4 more chapters today.
B.
She's been reading that book all day. She hasn't done anything else.
1. A.
I'm completely exhausted. I've been running all morning.
B.
I've run 10 kilometres this morning in my fastest time so far.
2. A.
I think he likes me. He sent me 15 emails this week already.
B.
That company has been sending me emails for months. It's very annoying.
3. A.
Turn it off, please. You've watched enough TV today.
B.
She's crying because she's been watching a really sad film on TV.
4. A.
I've been taking exams all week. Now I want to go out and enjoy myself.
B.
Look, here's the letter. I can't believe it. He's passed all his exams.
5. A.
He's good at water skiing now. He's been having lessons all summer.
B.
I've had one lesson so far, but I think surfing is too difficult for me.
Unit 11. Listening 2, page 112. Exercises 2 and 4. You'll hear 5 people talking about doing various sports and exercise in water. 1.
Last summer, I did my first scuba diving course, and now I'm addicted. I went to a small place on the Red Sea in Egypt to do a 5-day course with a friend. We had to have a short medical examination and demonstrate that we could swim 200 metres. Then we learned all the basics about scuba diving and how to use the equipment. I thought I'd be scared, but the instructors really made it feel fun and safe.
2.
I'm not really an exercise kind of person, but I've been doing Tai Chi recently and I really enjoy it. It's based on the ancient Chinese exercise called Tai Chi, and it involves doing slow, gentle movements and concentrating on breathing deeply. Because you do it underwater, Tai Chi has 2 major advantages. Firstly, the water makes it easier to concentrate on your breathing. Secondly, the resistance of the water forces you to go slowly enough.
3.
I first tried surfing when I was on holiday in France. You have to be quite strong, and at first I found it difficult. You paddle out into the sea by lying on the board and just using your arms. It's really hard. Then you have to know exactly when to jump up onto the surfboard. It's difficult to get the timing right, but when you do, the excitement is enormous. You get a real buzz every time. It's fantastic.
4.
I've found that the best way of getting fit is to go to my local gym. It's not the usual kind of gym, though. They've installed a new type of aqua gym system. Basically, you do a normal gym workout with machines, but it's underwater. The equipment is all attached to the side of a swimming pool, and you use floats instead of weights. It's a good way of exercising because the water supports you and prevents you getting injured.
5.
When I was a child, I did a lot of dancing, ballet mostly. Then I got interested in swimming. Now I do synchronised swimming, which is a combination of them both. It's like dancing in the water. I'm in a team with 7 other women and we enter competitions. I have to train every day because you have to be very fit, but I love it, especially because you work very closely with other people.
Unit 12. Reading. Page 117. Exercise 2. You will hear a story about an industrial spy.
Johnny Golightly is an industrial spy. He's been hired by World Computers, Inc. to break into the offices of small, ambitious competitor Peanut PCs and change some documents which show that World Computers has been stealing Peanut PC's customers. Late one night, Johnny uses a metal bar to open an office window. But when he breaks the window, he cuts himself. Still, he quickly enters and changes the documents, and to hide this, also does an ordinary robbery. He blows up the safe and steals some money. But he's unlucky. Ms. Willing, the chairman's secretary, is working late, and she hears something. When she investigates, she discovers Johnny. He panics, pulls out a gun, and shoots her. The spy drives off quickly in a stolen car, but crashes into a post in the office driveway, breaking one of the headlights.
Unit 12. Listening. Page 120. Exercises 2 and 4. You will hear an extract from a radio program called Famous 20th Century Mysteries.
But the most famous of all Hollywood scandal stories is the mystery of the death of Marilyn Monroe. Norma Jean Baker was born in Los Angeles in 1926. At 16, she was discovered by a photographer, and by 1946, she was given a job as a film actress by 20th Century Fox at $125 a week. It was then she changed her name to Marilyn Monroe. In the 1950s, her popularity increased. She became Hollywood's latest goddess of the cinema, especially after her marriage to baseball star Joe DiMaggio in 1954. But he wanted a wife, not a movie star, and they divorced only 9 months later. Back at 20th Century Fox, she was now the most valuable property in Hollywood. But she was also known for her unpunctuality and unreliability, the result of her depression. So no one was very surprised when, on the 5th of August 1962, her housekeeper found her lifeless body on her bed. It seemed as if she had committed suicide, although there was no suicide note. The coroner's verdict was death by an overdose of barbiturates. In fact, although there were barbiturates in her bloodstream and liver, there were none in her stomach. This would be impossible unless she had injected it. But no needle marks were found at the autopsy, and there was no syringe in the room. Rumours began suggesting that her death was not suicide, but murder. One source suggests that Marilyn had been hoping to marry Bobby Kennedy, the brother of the American president. But Bobby had been warned against this, and so he split up with her not long before her death. It seems Bobby had spoken openly to Marilyn about some dangerous national secrets. She was very upset and talked to friends about going public with everything. Not long after this, she was found dead. So, did she take her own life, or were the Kennedys involved? Another theory suggests that CIA agents, angry with the Kennedys, killed her and made it look like the Kennedys were involved. We will probably never know the real truth.
Unit 12. Speaking. Page 123. Exercise 4. Listen to the descriptions. 1.
Well, the first picture is inside a supermarket. I can see 3 people doing their shopping, and I think there's some kind of security guard towards the front of the picture. One of the shoppers is a man who has a trolley and seems to be looking at something on the bottom shelf. Another shopper is a woman with a full shopping trolley who is reaching to get something from one of the shelves. The third shopper doesn't have a trolley, and she looks as if she's putting something into her own shopping bag.
2.
The other picture is in the street. An older woman is shouting and waving her arms in the air.
It looks as if her bag has been stolen by a young woman who is running away from her. There are a few other people in the picture. One of them is a man with his back to us, who is just coming out of a shop. Another one is a woman who is walking away from the scene. A third person is a man who is carrying a bag and holding an umbrella. He is looking at the young woman. There is some kind of car in the foreground to the left of the picture.
Unit 13. Listening 1. Page 126. Exercises 2, 3 and 4. You will hear an extract from a radio programme about Heinz Stucker.
Heinz Stucker has been going round the world on his bicycle for over 40 years, and he has no plans to stop now. The 59-year-old has returned to his native Germany just once since 1962. He's already in the record book for visiting the most countries, 211, and travelling for the longest time on a bike. He claims he's the most travelled person in the history of the planet. Heinz got his first taste for this lifestyle when, at the age of 18, he cycled 10,000 kilometres around the Mediterranean. He realised that by using pedal power, he could travel slowly enough to study each country and its people, and fast enough to cover large distances. When he returned home, his life seemed boring by comparison, and he began to prepare for a far longer journey, one that so far has had no end. Heinz's tales of adventures could easily fill a whole library of travel guides. He has now covered every continent except Antarctica and seen more spectacular sights in his lifetime than most people dream of. He has cycled through snow, sand and water. When he entered Morocco via Gibraltar, he was greeted by some of the worst floods the country had experienced. He says he'll always remember pushing his bike through a metre of water for 8 hours. He's also been the victim of theft on more than one occasion. His bike has been stolen 4 times over the years, but luckily he's always managed to get it back. Another time, he was even robbed of all his possessions near New York. He had left his bike with some friends and was trying to hitchhike to the city. A very friendly young man stopped to give him a lift. However, later he gave Heinz some money and asked him to jump out and get him some chocolate. When Heinz came out of the shop, he discovered the man had driven off with all his equipment, including his passport. Ironically, all Heinz's major road accidents on his travels have been as a car passenger. For example, there was the time when he hitched a lift in Alaska, but the car skidded on a bend, overturned, and finished up in a river. Heinz escaped unhurt, but he had to rescue his battered bicycle, which had been thrown 50 metres downstream. Heinz has also suffered an attack by angry bees in Gambia, been stung by a scorpion in Nigeria, had dysentery in Indonesia, and pneumonia in Egypt. What drives someone to push themselves to these limits? Heinz believes that physical effort combined with reflection is an important way of improving yourself as a human being. However, he also admits that he is afraid to return home and give up his life of travelling and freedom. His present ambition is to write a book describing all his adventures, and, of course, to go on pedalling.
Unit 13. Listening 2, page 130. Exercise 3. Listen to the song.
I look into the window of
of my mind. Reflections of the fears I know I've left behind. I step out of the ordinary. I can feel my soul ascending. I'm on my way, can't stop me now, and you can do the same. What have you done today to make you feel proud? It's never too late to try. What have you done today to make you feel proud? You could be so many people if you make that break for freedom. What have you done today to make you feel prouder? Still so many answers I don't know. There are so many answers. Realize that to question is how we grow. To question is to grow. So I step out of the ordinary. I can feel my soul ascending. I'm on my way, can't stop me now, and you can do the same. What have you done today to make you feel proud? It's never too late to try. What have you done today to make you feel proud? You could be so many people if you make that break for freedom. What have you done today to make you feel proud? What have you done today to make you feel proud? It's never too late to try. What have you done today to make you feel proud? You could be so many people if you make that break for freedom. What have you done today to make you feel prouder?
Unit 13. Speaking. Page 135. Exercises 2 and 3. You will hear Peter and Janet talking about what they would put in a time capsule.
So, what do you think we should put in this time capsule?
I don't know, really.
Well, how about a CD of some of this year's pop music? I mean, music's important for lots of people.
I'm not sure. Not everyone likes pop music, though.
Yes, I suppose that's true. And anyway, I don't know how much pop songs say about today's world. Well, in that case, what about the newspaper? Well, that should help explain some of the important things that are happening in the world.
Yes, probably.
And then perhaps the football.
Oh, I don't know if that's a very good idea. I mean, would they understand what it was for?
Yeah, good point. So, what next, do you think?
The hamburger?
Yes, I suppose so. Oh, but what's it going to be like in 1,000 years?
Unit 14. Listening. Page 139. Exercise 2. You will hear 2 extracts from a play called After Liverpool. 1.
Do you want an apple?
Yes, please.
Here you are.
Is that the only one?
Yes. Go on, have it.
No, I wouldn't dream of it.
Go on.
What about you?
Don't worry about me.
Don't you want one?
Look, I'm offering it to you, aren't I?
I don't want it if you want it.
I thought you said you did want it.
Not if you want it. Not the last one.
The last one tastes the same as all the others, whether I want it or not.
Of course it doesn't. Look, do you really expect me to sit here eating the last apple knowing you might like it yourself? Do you? Honestly, you have such a low opinion of me.
2.
How would you like to go to the cinema tonight?
Tonight?
If you're not doing anything else.
No, I'm not doing anything else.
How about it then?
Yes. All right, if you like.
Not if I like, if you like. Do you want to go?
You want to go, don't you?
If you do.
All right then.
You don't sound terribly enthusiastic. Is there anything else that you want to do?
No.
Or we could stay in. We don't have to go out.
We may as well. No reason why not.
The reason why not would be if you didn't want to go.
I'm easy. If you're going, I'll come with you.
Just because I'm going.
I don't care either way, honestly.
Oh, well, let's stay in for goodness sake.
Why?
There's no point going if you don't want to go.
There is a point. You want to go.
I don't want to go to the wretched cinema. I just thought you might like to go to the cinema. I do wish you'd say what you want now and then.
So, we're in for another jolly evening at home, are we?
Unit 14. Vocabulary 2. Page 140. Exercise 3. Listen to the dialogues. 1.
I fancy going for a swim. How about it?
Oh, I don't know. I'd rather watch TV.
2.
Shall we go for a coffee?
If you like.
3.
Would you like to come shopping?
I don't mind.
4.
For goodness sake, take off your shoes before you come in the house.
Why, they're not dirty.
5.
Shall we call Tony?
There's no point. He's on holiday.
6.
Shall we invite everyone in the class to the party?
No reason why not.
7.
Don't tell Marta what happened, OK?
I wouldn't dream of it.
Unit 14. Speaking. Page 142. Exercises 2 and 3. You will hear Hannah comparing the two photos.
Well, in picture A, I can see Tom Cruise and a woman in a very bright red skirt. She must be his girlfriend because they're holding hands. It's probably the opening of his new film. I love their clothes. They both look great. He's got on a very smart black suit and she's wearing a stylish black top with her red skirt. On the other hand, in picture B, the people's clothes are quite boring and the colours are all pretty dull. It must be quite warm as a lot of them are in short-sleeved shirts. They're queuing for a film. I think it might be Star Wars. They look bored and fed up, probably because they don't like queuing. I know I don't. However, in picture A, they both look quite happy. It might be because they're enjoying all the attention.
Unit 15. Listening 1. Page 144. Exercises 1 and 2. You will hear people talking in 6 different situations. 1.
Hi, Tim, it's Sarah. Look, I'm really sorry about this, but I think I might have left my bag at your flat last night. Do you think you could have a look round and see? If I have, maybe you could give me a call and I could come over and get it. Or you could give me it back tonight. You are coming to Rachel's, aren't you? Anyway, speak to you later. Bye. Hi, Tim, it's Sarah. Look, I'm really sorry about this, but I think I might have left my bag at your flat last night. Do you think you could have a look round and see? If I have, maybe you could give me a call and I could come over and get it. Or you could give me it back tonight. You are coming to Rachel's, aren't you? Anyway, speak to you later. Bye.
2.
So, how long have you been doing it for?
Oh, it must be about 3 years. I really like it. It's very satisfying. People talk to you about all sorts of problems they have. It's great to feel you might have helped them.
And everyone is a volunteer?
Yeah, no one's paid. People usually do a 4-hour shift once a week on the phones.
Wow, that's quite a time commitment.
Yes, but it's definitely worth it.
So, how long have you been doing it for?
Oh, it must be about 3 years. I really like it. It's very satisfying. People talk to you about all sorts of problems they have. It's great to feel you might have helped them.
And everyone is a volunteer?
Yeah, no one's paid. People usually do a 4-hour shift once a week on the phones.
Wow, that's quite a time commitment.
Yes, but it's definitely worth it.
3.
We're proud to introduce the new Zox computer game system, making computer gaming a revolutionary new experience. You actually feel like you're inside the game. We guarantee that you've never known anything like it before. In fact, we're so confident if you're not totally satisfied with Zox, we'll give you your money back, no questions asked. For more information, phone 556 3413. We're proud to introduce the new Zox computer game system, making computer gaming a revolutionary new experience. You actually feel like you're inside the game. We guarantee that you've never known anything like it before. In fact, we're so confident if you're not totally satisfied with Zox, we'll give you your money back, no questions asked. For more information, phone 556 3413.
4.
And continuing our series Crimes with a Difference, we have here with us today psychologist David Lockhart, who has made a study of the Robin Hood syndrome. This means crimes which are not carried out for selfish reasons, but in order to benefit or help someone else. So, David, to begin with. And continuing our series Crimes with a Difference, we have here with us today psychologist David Lockhart, who has made a study of the Robin Hood syndrome. This means crimes which are not carried out for selfish reasons, but in order to benefit or help someone else. So, David, to begin with.
5.
And as I said, I bought this here yesterday and I'd like to return it and for you to give me my money back.
Yes, well, that's fine. But do you have your receipt?
My receipt? Well, I'm not sure. Let me look. Honestly, is this really necessary? I mean, you were the one who served me. Surely you remember me. And as I said, I bought this here yesterday and I'd like to return it and for you to give me my money back.
Yes, well, that's fine. But do you have your receipt?
My receipt? Well, I'm not sure. Let me look. Honestly, is this really necessary? I mean, you were the one who served me. Surely you remember me.
6.
So, what do you think you would do if someone asked you for money in the street?
Oh, I don't know. That's a difficult one. I suppose it would depend on how I was feeling on the day. I mean, life is very hard for people living on the streets, but then you can't give money to everyone, so...
So, what do do you think you would do if someone asked you for money in the street?
Oh, I don't know. That's a difficult one. I suppose it would depend on how I was feeling on the day. I mean, life is very hard for people living on the streets, but then you can't give money to everyone, so...
Unit 15. Listening 2. Page 150. Exercises 2 and 3. You will hear an extract from a radio programme about rich and famous people.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of Spotlight, the programme that brings you news, views and interviews with the rich and famous. This week we're going to be taking a look at a slightly different side to one of the most powerful men on the planet. A giant of the technological age, he created one of the greatest and most influential corporate forces in recent history, Microsoft. Whatever you think about the Microsoft empire, it's hard not to admire the generosity of its billionaire founder, Bill Gates. One of the richest men in the world, he has said that he plans to give almost all of his $100 billion fortune away. He has already created the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which is now the biggest charitable foundation in the world, with assets totaling more than $21 billion. The aims of the foundation are to improve the lives of disadvantaged people through health and learning. Alongside this, it has just recently been announced that Gates is going to donate £130 million of his fortune to launch a new international scholarship fund at the University of Cambridge. The scheme will finance 230 scholarships in Cambridge, where a Bill Gates house will be established as a student centre. Scholars of any nationality will be able to study any subject offered at Cambridge, but with an emphasis on science and technology degrees. Interestingly, at the same time, Bill Gates has said publicly that he will leave his 2 children no more than $75 million, and he is not alone in this attitude towards his children. More and more wealthy parents appear to be deciding not to leave fortunes to their sons and daughters. There seems to be a growing view that an important part of life involves earning your own living. Hollywood star Jamie Lee Curtis has said, for example, that she wants her children to have enough money to pay the restaurant bill, not enough to buy the restaurant and fire the waiter. There are other examples of celebrity parents who have...
Copyright Pearson Education Limited, 2003.